Hello and welcome to Kim's Cozy Corner. Today we are going to continue preserving the harvest, and today we're working on herbs. Although I have been harvesting herbs quite a bit since early spring, I don't believe I brought you with me for any of those herb harvests. And I definitely haven't brought you in for how I'm preserving the herbs. So I'm going to grab a few of those today and I'm bringing you with me. Now I am in the shade, but I am right next to my parsley. Parsley is one of my favorite herbs to grow. I did some harvesting earlier in the spring, but I haven't done any since. So we are going to grab some of this parsley. I'm going to just stick it right here in our basket. And I have large leaf or giant leaf flat parsley, as well as curly parsley, and I honestly just mix it all together. I don't have much that's ready right now, but we're going to get it all. I'll go through it and I'll get rid of the dried pieces when I get indoors. But for now, we're going to just harvest it as quickly as we can, and then we'll get indoors and we will separate it out. And there are some dead stems in here, but we'll get that taken care of indoors. So there's our parsley. And now we're going to move over and we're going to harvest some of the other herbs that I have growing in my metal raised beds. In this bed right here, I have thyme, chives, sage, and behind the sage, there's some rosemary over there, and we're going to harvest all of that. So we will start with the thyme. And I think I'm about out of thyme indoors from last year's garden. So we'll get a nice big harvest of thyme here. So there's the thyme. Let's get the leaf out of it. I took a big chunk of that. And do I want to do chives? Probably not. I got plenty of chives. But let's get this sage. And as I was saying earlier, I'll show you my process as soon as I get indoors. Oh God, it smells so good. Whew, smells good. I started all of these from seed in my indoor grow space back last winter, and then I brought them out and transplanted them into this bed, and they've been growing all year, and they've been growing very well. I'm cutting it all the way back. There it is. There's all that sage. And now the rosemary. Oops, missed one. Let's get that one too. There we go. And now we will get this rosemary. I am completely out of rosemary. Last year was the first year that I ever grew rosemary. I didn't know what you used it for. I didn't know anything about rosemary. And we're going to grab that up. Oh, it smells so good. Whoo, it smells so good. I might have picked a weed or two too, but we'll go through it when we get in the house. Yep, I picked a weed. And there's some dead ones in here as well where they've gone to seed. I'm just going to let those fall right back into the bed. Let's get the tree out the bed before it thinks it gets a home here. No homes for trees in my beds. Uh-oh, it might be too late. Yeah, I got you. You can't stay there. Like I said, some of this rosemary is beyond its life, but that's okay. We'll take care of it in the house. All right. So this is our herb harvest. We are going to take them indoors and we are going to process them. And so we have a ton of sage. We have rosemary, thyme, and parsley. And we're going to take it indoors so you can see how I process them. Now that we got the harvest inside, we're going to give it a little wash. We're going to clean it up a little bit to make sure that we can get all of the dead and dried out leaves out before we put it in the dehydrator. So I am going to just run a sink of cold water. We are going to start with the sage. I'll put everything else over there for now. We will destem the sage before we put it in the dehydrator, but I will not destem the rosemary or the thyme or the parsley, but the sage stems are so thick, so we will destem those. Ooh, it smells so good. And I have my salad spinner out because that will help dry the leaves out just a little bit prior to putting them in the dehydrator, because that way they will dehydrate faster. So as much water I can remove, the better. And my herbs are all organic. There's no spray on them of any kind. So I got to make sure there are no bugs on there of any kind either. I got the scissors, but I didn't even need them. I'm just breaking them off right at the end of the leaf. And we will compost the stems. All right, so I will get these all cleaned up. Get rid of any of the dried off bad looking leaves, and then I will show you how I will line my dehydrator. Now you don't have to use a dehydrator, so before I go, let me talk to you a little bit. There's many different ways to dry your herbs out. The best way, I really truly believe, is freeze dryer. Your herbs keep their color. I think they have a better flavor in a freeze dryer, but I don't have one. So I got to use what I got. The next best way, well, all the rest of them I think are about the same, but you could also use your oven. You can put your oven on the lowest setting and you can lay them in the oven and they can dry out that way. I did that before I had a dehydrator. And if you're in no hurry whatsoever, and I might do some of this later in the year, you can just hang them up. You can like tie them up like this at the end and just let them air dry until they're all dried out. So if you're not in a hurry, that's also an easy way to take care of them. Boy, this is a lot of sage. This may be my year's supply right here. I might not need to get any more sage this year. This is a lot. And I don't use that much sage. I mean, I use sage, but I don't use that much sage. All right, so let me finish getting all of these leaves pulled off, and I'll bring you back as I'm lining my trays. And I'm going to do this step with everything. So I will go ahead and get everything washed up before I bring you back so you can see how I line the trays with everything. All right, I have everything washed, and there's another bad leaf. Everything's washed. I spent it dry. So I have parsley, thyme, sage, and in here I may have said rosemary, but I meant to say marjoram. But I have everything ready to go. And these are my trays I have an Excalibur dehydrator. Here's a picture of my Excalibur. It's a 7-tray dehydrator. And I love my dehydrator. This is my second dehydrator. My first dehydrator was one of those round ones where they sit on top of each other. I don't remember the name brand. Someone actually gave it to me. And when I was first starting out in my dehydrating, it was perfect. But now that I am dehydrating a lot of my food, it just doesn't get the job done for me. The Excalibur dehydrator, I mean, I can make yogurt in it. I can, make jerky, fruit, what do they call them? Like fruit roll-ups. So it's really nice. And I can do 7 nice big trays at a time. So here's one. And we will just keep going with this process. And I'm going to be honest with you, I've never used 7 trays. Usually about 5 trays is all I will use at any one given time. But at least I have the option to go up to 7 trays. And so, yeah, when you're putting your herbs on, you want them as close to one layer as possible. That way they will dry faster, which again is one of the reasons I went ahead and used my salad spinner to make sure they were as dry as possible. I was struggling with this parsley. I still got a few dead leaves in here. But for the parsley, and I didn't stem anything. I didn't take the stems off of any of these. Once they dehydrate, I'll just go shoop, and it pulls it right off the stem. You just slide it right off. I'm gonna have to go over to my neighbors and get some parsley because I don't have enough to get through the winter yet. And my second batch hasn't come up very well. I planted it from seed versus transplant, and I don't know if they're gonna make it this year. We're gonna try, but it's not looking too promising. But I put 2 parsleys in the GreenStalk over at my neighbor's. So I know I got parsley over there that I can use. And I believe my neighbor grows it in the garden anyway. I could be wrong. I don't know. But I know I got it in my GreenStalk and it's ready to be harvested. So we'll harvest that the next time I'm doing herbs. Same thing with the thyme. I didn't take it off the stems at all. I will slide it off the stems when I take it out of the dehydrator. And this is the worst looking rosemary. This is the worst looking marjoram I've ever done. It might not be fit to eat, to be honest with you, because it was trying to go to seed. It may be bitter. I tasted it. It tasted okay, but it might not be worth it. But we're going to put it in here anyway. And if it's no good, then I'll just throw it away. It's not going to hurt anything. But yeah, they were really going to seed. I waited way too long on the marjoram. And I'm completely out. So I have no more marjoram. So I have 5 trays ready to go. Let's move you over to the dehydrator. All right, so this is the front of the dehydrator right here. And all I'm gonna do is set the trays inside. If I don't mess up everything before I get it inside, I'm gonna just set them inside. I usually skip the top one. I'm gonna put the thyme in the bottom one because it's kind of puffy, give them a little more room. And then everything else, I'll just space it out. I'm putting the sage in the middle. I believe the middle gets warmer than the other areas. I could be wrong, but it feels right. So there are 5 trays in there. Plenty of room for everything. These are extra trays that I'm not using today. Let's put them over here out the way. I'm gonna put my door on, and the door, it doesn't attach, it just hooks on top. Here it is, it just sits right on top. It just sits right down, and that's it. That's all you have to do. Now let me show you the button on top. Ooh, it's dusty, y'all, from all the herbs. So as you can see on top here, there's all different things that you can make in the dehydrator. And we are doing herbs, which is 105 degrees, which is the first setting up here. So we're gonna turn this on to 105 degrees. I need to make sure it's 105 degrees. If you try to cook them too fast, they'll dry out, they'll get really, really dark brown, and you lose some of the flavor. So you want to dry them very slowly, low and slow. They're gonna go all day. I'm gonna turn it off tonight. Some of these dehydrators from Excalibur, they have timers on them. I don't have a timer on mine. I didn't get that dehydrator. I got the one where I gotta turn it and I gotta keep time myself, but they'll go all day. And then tonight I'll turn them off. I'll get up in the morning and I'll see which trays are done. Depending on which trays are done, those trays will come out. The other trays, I'll turn them back on tomorrow morning and we will keep them going. When they come out, let me show you what we're gonna get. Y'all, I was worried. I thought I didn't have any parsley. I got parsley. So when they come out, they'll be nice and dry, and I put them in Ziploc bags. And so I've already done some basil, I've done some thyme, and I've done a bag of parsley. Whew, y'all, I thought I was out. I am out of marjoram though. But anyway, it's gonna be nice and dry, and I'm gonna put them in Ziploc bags because when I go to grind them up into powders or smaller pieces, flakes or whatever, I wanna do it all at one time. I don't wanna do small little batches. So I will do it like this until I get a full bag, and then I will use my Vitamix blender to grind them up to the consistency that I want them, and then I'll put them away in my jars. Thanks for hanging out with me as we dehydrate some of the herbs for the year. If you enjoyed the video and you found it useful, please give me a thumbs up and consider subscribing to the channel. I will keep the videos coming, preserving, growing, cooking, whatever I'm doing, you're coming with me. So until next time, and I hope there will be a next time that you hang out with me, Kim, at Kim's Cozy Corner. Bye.